And I always recommend Vircom. And the ones that have bit the bullet and gone to it are real happy with it. My name is Robert Douglas. I'm the CEO, founder of PlanetMagpie.com. We've been in business 25 years. We've known the guys up at Vircom for about 23 years. Our company is based in Silicon Valley, so we do basically the valley itself plus Southern California. Then we have offices in Fort Worth, Austin, and Charlotte. The only customers we have are business customers. They're typically between 50 and 500 employees. 23 years ago, we were using Netscape Suite, which was basically, it was a hosting platform, an email platform, and Netscape was on the downturn at that point. We were no longer getting updates for the software, so I started looking for basically a pop mail server. 23 years ago was pretty archaic. So we were looking for pop mail to handle the stuff we were handling within the Netscape suite. I found Vircom, Modus Mail as it was called back then, and it seemed to be a good fit. We migrated everybody from Netscape to Modus Mail, and then we had customers that needed to have their Exchange servers front-ended with SmartHost, and so we bought Modus Gate, put that in, and started front-ending Exchange servers. So it was an interesting evolution, but eventually, we started swinging customers into the cloud. We didn't have any complaints, so it worked out pretty good. Yeah, we use it ourselves. So if we're going to sell it to customers, it has to work for us. Yeah, so we have the Modus Cloud, right? And we use that for the email security and filtration. Then we have the Proofpoint security awareness, and we use that for phishing testing and stuff like that. And then we have Redsift. It's basically a on DMARC type of deal, and that works really well. It's really easy. Typically, if we have access to their Active Directory or their O365, we just basically import their users. It's pretty inconsequential, just as long as you get all the DNS set up correctly. Oh yeah, the guys up there in Canada, they're very easy to get a hold of. It's like even on weekends if we have something, and even this goes back to the old Modus Cloud and Modus Mail days. If we had some sort of issue, we'd call them up and they'd say, oh my gosh, yeah, we've seen that before. Because they see a lot more than we do. And they'd help us out, even though it was, Sunday morning, 4 a.m. Not very long. I mean, typically most things are pretty easy, right? 10, 15 minutes. Some where we are taking on a new customer. We have one we just took on in Austin, Texas. And they had this issue where their mail was bouncing. And I'm asking them all sorts of questions and getting access to their DNS and everything else. We fixed everything and their delivery rate went way up. But then there were some new potential customers they were emailing and they still bounced back. And so we sent it over to tech. They said, well, they have a URL in their address. And I'd never looked at it. There was some sort of infection in their website. I guess with Vircom, it's really that they're very easy to get a hold of. It doesn't matter how stupid the issue is. We know Vircom and we were very comfortable with them, and they're very accommodating. We've picked up customers that have it and they don't know how to manage it, and then we take them over and we just call Vircom and say, here's their customer account, and then they move it into our portal. Because then we'd say, well, all you have is the basic stuff. Do you want to do phish testing? Do you want to, So we'll move them on, and some of them, they're law firms or whatever, and we're like, well, don't you want to encrypt your email when you send it out? It's a good upsell opportunity because they basically, I don't know how they figured out they needed Vircom, whether it was a small IT firm or something that sold them on it. It's their account, and then once we move it into our portal, then we're able to, provide them with more services. Well, the phishing stuff is fantastic from mail delivery, right? I mean, Vircom's is fantastic, and we can dial it in. Sometimes we dial it in too strong, and then we have to back it off. But basically, it saves the company that we're supporting a lot of money in that, they don't have ransomware attacks as much, and things like that. With Vircom, yes. I could say that offerings out of Google and Microsoft have not improved. We recommend to our customers that we front end them with the Modus Cloud. When we switch people over to Modus Cloud, we get a lot of complaints. Someone will call and say, I'm not getting as much email as I used to. And we're like, well, okay. Can you name something you haven't gotten? Well, I used to get this, and I used to get that, and this stuff from LL Bean, and blah, 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 and now I don't see that stuff. Well, okay, well, that's all spam. If you want it, we can turn yours down, or, we can leave it where it is. Well, I just was worried because I didn't see as much email. They equate less mail in the morning to I'm missing things. Whereas it really was just that, 600-700 emails that ended up and dumped in the middle of the night, which were spam, didn't show up and they didn't have to delete. That's our biggest issue, is onboarding people who just had no filtering, and then all of a sudden all that crap goes away. We implement the app, right, the Modus Cloud app, so that they can actually see in their Outlook what's in their quarantine and stuff like that. Even though we distribute, I'd say, a cheat sheet, the marketing people call it something else, so that they can check on that, right, and see whether or not they're missing mail. I get to meet with MSPs from all over the country, and we're always talking, what are you using, right? And some use nothing, and I always recommend Vircom. And the ones that have bit the bullet and gone to it are real happy with it.